Music, the theatre, the Russian band. Among them, the heir to the throne, Tsarevich Nicholas. Tsar Alexander III lived apart in his great palaces, guarded by his generals.
He has the judgment of an infant.
Dance for us, Matilda.
Oh, no, not now.
Go on.
I'm not a Zigana.
Fanny, one mazurka, then we go home.
We'll clap for you.
Yes, come on.
What is all this? What is going on here?
Who is it? It's the prefect of the city. What do you want? How dare you come in here like this?
Your Imperial Highness.
Get out.
What's the matter, Nikoshka?
I have a dream, sometimes. Or rather, a memory.
Of what?
My grandfather's death. I was 12. He'd been driving along the Katerinsky when someone threw a bomb at his carriage. They carried him into the Winter Palace where we were all staying and into one of the anterooms. We all went in to see him. There was blood on the floor. His right leg torn off. All the lower half of his body shattered. One eye was missing and his face was covered in blood. He made no sound. But he was alive. Until the doctor said he was dead. Granny was weeping by his side. Ma was just standing. With her skates. She'd been skating.
Come.
She and Papa went out without taking any notice of me.
They called him the Tsar Liberator. He freed the serfs. And that's what they do to him. Papa said there shall be no more reforms. And he's right, the only way to rule this country is by strength. We all fear Papa, but we love him. They tried to assassinate him too, you know, but they won't succeed. Once, when our train was derailed, we thought it was a bomb, but it was only a mishap. The roof of the carriage collapsed and Papa held it up while we all climbed out. He looked like Samson.
Oh, your papa is very kind to me. At the theatre, he always comes and congratulates me on my dancing. Oh, those things don't happen nowadays. And when you are Tsar, everyone will love and admire you. Only...
What?
You don't have the knack of making your opinion felt. You give in to others far too easily when you are right.
Oh, I don't know. Perhaps I'm shy. Except when I'm with you. Everyone around me is so strong. The Romanovs are all giants, except me. That's why I hate going to parades on foot. I look so small.
Do I make you happy?
Ah, Nicky. You're late for tea.
Sorry, Mama. We've been skating.
Mum, we threw snowballs at each other. Ran around like fools.
Your father has been speaking to the prefect.
Oh.
He's very angry with General Val for behaving as he did. But he's angry with you, too. Really, Nicky, you must remember, everyone's eyes are on you, watching everything you do. You must always be polite and courteous.
Yes, Mama. Thank you.
Your father looks to you.
Papa never takes any notice of me, unless I do something to displease him. If I'm given nothing to do, why shouldn't I spend my time with friends? As it is, I get very bored.
Your father looks to you to do what's correct. He's not been well, Nicky. We must think of the future.
I can't imagine anything changing for years and years and years.
Nicky, you are 26. You must marry.
That's all I'm fit for, in his eyes.
Don't be a silly boy. Drink your tea. It'll get cold.
Well, there's no one of royal blood I want to marry.
But it's your duty to. Princess Margaret of... Well, Helene of Bourbon.
You know there's only one princess in the whole of Europe I at all care for.
She is not suitable.
So you and Papa say, but I'm very fond of her.
She is a Lutheran.
Aunt Ella changed her religion to marry Uncle Serge.
Your father and I would forbid it. She's an unsociable girl and a German.
Very well, if it can't be Alex, then there's no one.
This ballet dancer, Kaczynska, are you obsessed by her?
No, Mama. But I'm very fond of her, too. Life's so complicated and difficult. Why can't I marry who I like? I hope Papa will go on living for years and years.
But one day, Nicky, you must succeed.
I don't want to.
You are the born heir.
I've told them there's only one I'll consider. And that's Alex of Hesse-Darmstadt.
Are you in love with her? You hardly know her.
I've known her since I was 16. And she was only 12. She came to Petersburg when her sister Ella married Uncle Serge. She stayed 6 weeks.
Do you love her?
Not when I'm with you. She loves me, I think.
How do you know?
She writes to me. Papa doesn't like her. And there are religious difficulties, but if I can't avoid being Tsar, and it seems that I can't, I shall have to have a wife.
May I request your Imperial Highness not to smoke in my bedroom?
Sorry. Anyway, she may not have me. But I shall have to ask her.
When?
Our brother's to be married in Coburg, and I've been given permission to represent Papa. I shall propose to her then, whatever they all say. Before Easter.
And what's to happen to me? What is to happen to our love?
Annie, we always knew. Oh, it's so difficult. I have to marry, and she is beautiful and good.
And I am bad and ugly, Some little gypsy whore no one ought to know about. I am premiere danseuse of the Imperial Ballet. Peterborough has written a ballet for me. Tchaikovsky came to my dressing room, congratulated me, wanted to compose music for me, but he died. The European press have called me a star. But I am one of the people. I am not a princess or a foreigner. Oh, Nicky.
Nothing may happen. Nothing may come of it. When I return from Coburg, nothing may have changed. Whatever happens, I shall still see you.
All the Tsars in the past have had mistresses, whoever they married.
Except Papa.
My poor Nikoshka.
Look. It's spring. It's 1 degree above zero. The thermometer went up 4 degrees in the night.
Yes, Nicky. It will soon be Easter.
I found Alex grown even prettier. She looked extremely sad. She was alone in Aunt Ella's rooms. I tried to explain to her that she must give her consent and simply could not withhold it, but without any result. She could not bring herself to accept a change of religion. At 4:30, Queen Victoria arrived and was received with great pomp. We saw it all from the windows of our apartments where we awaited her in full uniform.
Darling Ella, my dear child.
Grandmamma.
Serge.
I trust Your Majesty is well.
Yes, I am well. And Nicky. We will speak later. I wish to talk to Ella now.
Your Majesty's pleasure.
We'll make ourselves scarce, ma'am.
Kaiser Wilhelm arrived at 6 o'clock. He was most affable and sympathetic, and thinks it would be an excellent idea to have a German princess as future Empress of Russia. All the English and German relatives give me their good wishes. Yesterday, at the instance of Willie, the whole family was photographed in the garden. This morning, Wilhelm had a talk with Alex while I stayed in the next room.
Nicky! Go and talk to her.
Now.
Faint heart never won fair lady.
When I went into her, she was much more composed. I repeated what I'd said before, and with her very first words, she consented. She's quite changed. She's gay and amusing and talkative and tender. The whole world seems different to me. Nature, mankind, everything.
And I love you.
When I'm with you, half my fears and sadness disappear.
Only half? I want you to be quite sure of my love for you.
I'm more sure of you than I am of myself. I've never had any deep feelings about anyone before. I love Mama and Papa, of course. And I've often enjoyed myself too much. I've given way to drinking and women and so on.
We are all tempted. And when we are young, we cannot always fight against it. But if we truly repent, God will forgive us.
I've been keeping a mistress.
Oh.
She's a dancer. Prima ballerina of the Royal Ballet. She's very young and pretty. Well, every summer we go to Krasnoye Selo for the Tsar maneuvers and, well, there's a little theater there. And it's Petersburg Ballet come to entertain us, and it's all very gay and informal, and the officers get to know the dancers. Well, I helped her buy a house. I'm sorry.
Is it over?
Yes. It's over.
I have caught your love and bound its wings. Thank you for telling me your secret.
You mustn't be shocked by life in St. Petersburg. It's not like England or even Germany. Papa and the family are like the owners of an estate. All Russia is ours to do what we like with. Everyone else, however rich or famous. In summer, when it's very hot, the plains in the south are all yellow and dusty and covered in heat haze. And the mountains are green with forests, and the roads go on and on. You can travel for days and weeks without coming to the end of it. Only little towns, villages, and great distance.
One day it will all be yours.
Yes.
I shall help you. And God will give us wisdom and strength.
I have a new ballet called Paquita, with music by Minkos. Cicchetti says I shall have a great success. Cicchetti says. And I have found a little villa near the barracks by the Dudahoff Lake. It's lovely.
I hope you'll have a nice time there.
Are you not coming to Krasnoye Selo?
Well, I may come occasionally and see you dance. If the others do. I have to be with my family. I've come to say goodbye, Penny. Please don't cry. I'll never forget the lovely times we've had together.
Oh, you'll forget them, but I shall not. I will be your loyal subject. One of the many millions of them.
Please don't be angry.
Can't you tell anger from misery?
I didn't know how to say it more gently.
Oh, I know you are gentle. You don't like to see people hurt. You hurt them, but you don't like to see it. How many will you?
I'm sorry.
Oh, don't be a fool, Nikoshka. We always knew this would happen. Only, if I am ever in really great trouble, can I see you?
Tell Serge Mikhailovich he'll look after you.
Yes, he's nice. I hope your bride will bring you happiness. God go with you.
Thank you. For remembrance.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
And his family left St. Petersburg and settled on the imperial estate at Livadia. In the sunshine of the Black Sea coast, amidst the beauty and quiet of the Crimea, the court was hushed with grief and dismay.
Hello, Mama.
Hello, Nicky. Constantine.
Good morning, Aunt.
Well, what have you been doing?
Oh, nothing. Constantine and I have been up on the roof, throwing chestnuts at each other.
I'll see you later, Nicky. Goodbye, Aunt.
Would you like some...
Yes, thank you.
How's Papa?
Oh, he's slightly brighter. He still feels sick, and his legs are painful.
Is there anything I can do?
No. Oh, no. Uncle Vladimir has come, and Father John will be here soon. Some of the ministers have arrived.
I've sent for Alex. She should be here soon.
Oh, good.
Papa got up and put on his uniform and blessed her and was very nice to her and confirmed our betrothal. My superb Alex seems more wonderful every day. Did you have a dreadful journey?
Yes. Well, no arrangements were made for us. I had to travel by ordinary passenger train. None of the officials spoke German or French. We had trouble with the luggage and terrible delays.
Never mind. You're here now.
I feel such a stranger. My feet hurt.
How's that? Better?
Yes. Shall I ever see you?
Of course, every day.
If you're not too busy.
There's nothing for me to do except sign letters.
What letters?
Oh, I don't know. I don't have to read them. I just sign for Papa when he's tired. Mamma and the uncles and the ministers arrange everything.
You must be firm, Nicky. Make the doctors come to you every day. Let you know how they find him and exactly what they wish him to do. Make them come direct to you. Don't let the others be put first and you left out. You are Father's dear son and you'll be asked first and told about everything. Show them your mind. Do not let them forget who you are.
I'll try.
Oh, forgive me, lovey.
The Tsar is going to die. Your Highness will have to think of the future.
I do. All the time. I'm facing the thing that I've feared all my life.
There are state papers to be signed and read.
Yes, I can do that. At present I know nothing, but when the time comes I shall do my duty, whatever it is, as well as I am able.
When your Imperial Highness comes to the throne, there will be pressure from many quarters for reform.
Yes, I expect so.
The local assemblies will ask for more power and a popular assembly with access to the throne. I mean, a parliament.
Parliament? Oh, no. Those are senseless dreams.
They may be senseless, but they're what the people do dream. Your father has always ignored them.
Yes, and so shall I.
Your Highness, I'm not a Democrat. I am not a liberal reformist or a revolutionary. But I know the world, and the world changes. Thank you. You may inherit your father's insignia, but you cannot live in the past.
I have no intention of doing so.
I am glad of that, because with respect, Your Highness is not strong enough. The future is not solid. It is full of gaseous intentions, explosive thoughts. Men are not animals. They have their own ideas. Give them some opportunity to express them. A hope, however small, however slow, of personal progress. And they will be your loyal subjects.
They are our loyal subjects.
You do not understand.
No?
When there is famine, they die. But when there is prosperity, they have little joy of it and are no longer content. They look to the Tsar for some relief, for some communication between them and the state. If the Tsar does not give it, others will.
Others?
I think, Your Highness, the lead will come from intellectuals in the towns. People in cities do not remain children. All the repression in the world cannot keep them innocent forever. There are aspects in modern life which can be turned to good or evil. I beg you, sir, not to start your reign at odds with the good in society. There are darker, more violent forces in the land. Marxists, anarchists, and other subversive doctrines. If you do not listen to the advice of moderate, liberal-minded men, then society will turn to those. And autocracy will be finished.
You are asking me to share the authority that God has given me, and which God knows I do not want.
To a small extent.
You too think that I am not capable. No, Vita, I shall take advice as I think best from those already around me.
Around you? The court? The court is like the court of the Sleeping Beauty, full of cobwebs, inert, embalmed. You must wake up, or that sleep will become death.
Please understand that I will not shirk the responsibility that is my inheritance. I intend to maintain, as firmly as my dear father, the absolute autocracy bestowed on me by God.
Then Your Highness will have to rely upon miracles.
Leave him.
Therefore, in the name of God, we proclaim you Nicholas II, Emperor and Autocrat of all the Russias, Tsar of Moscow, Kiev, Novgorod, Kazan, Astrakhan, of Poland, of Siberia, of Tauric Chersonese, of Georgia, Lord of Pskov, Grand Duke of Smolensk, of Lithuania, Volhynia, Podolia and Finland, Prince of Estonia, Livonia, Karelia, Tver, Lord and Grand Duke of Rostov, Yaroslav, Kondia, Vitebsk, and all the region of the north, Lord and Sovereign of the Circassian princes and the mountain princes, Lord of Turkish...
Tsar Nicholas II, sentimental, petulant, practices the divine right to rule at his palace outside St. Petersburg and frowns at a changing world. Minister of the Interior von Pleva, more vigorous by nature, organizes repression with system, if not subtlety. Both in Russia and beyond her frontiers, the question is no longer whether revolution, but how, and led by whom.
Majesty, the state has no business organizing workers to present economic demands to employers. There are plenty of revolutionists around to do that, God knows. The state's job is containment. We put out fires, we eliminate fire raisers. Jews, anarchists, revolutionists. Fortunately, the same size in a gun sight. 69 rioters killed, 143 wounded, over 200 arrests made, 24 already hanged. It's all there in the file. We can win if we have the will, Majesty, but we must make them understand that we are serious, and if we are serious, we must be coherent, we must be ruthless, and above all, we must be intelligent. I ordered a grenadier regiment up from Orenburg to burn a few houses and restore order.
I shot 7 crows this morning. Are they all my enemies?
Potentially, as they are all your loyal and devoted friends and subjects. The people are merely the stakes, Your Majesty.
And whom do we play for them?
Well, they're all here. Socialist revolutionaries, liberals, anarchists, social democrats.
Jew. Are there any Russians?
1 or 2, Your Majesty.
Look at them. Who are these?
Social democrats, dreamers mostly. Marxists, they call themselves. Plekhanov, the leading figure.
This one, Jew, yes?
Martov, born Sederbaum.
And this?
Ulyanov, agitator, 14 months in the Marinka awaiting trial, sentenced to 3 years exile, 97. Minusitsk. The last known report has him in Munich, married to this one here. Maybe she'll give him some babies. Make him settle down in Germany.
Hatred against the white race in general, and will constitute a grave danger to your rear in case you should have to face a Jap adventure on the seashore. Begging your pardon for the liberty I have taken, I hope the Admiral of the Pacific will not be angry with the Admiral of the Atlantic's signals, who is always on the lookout on your behalf. Ta-ta. Best love to Alex from your devoted friend and cousin, Willie.
Admiral of the Atlantic. Where are we going to put it? I really don't like it, Nicky. It's worse than the others.
I'll find a corner for it.
How many more is he going to send? Can't you tell him we have enough?
Well, it's a bit difficult.
I wouldn't mind, if he only represented himself on them, but why does he have to include you?
Come in.
The Minister of the Interior is here and other members of the Cabinet. Also the Archbishop of the Holy Synod.
Yes, I'm coming. I'll see von Pleva first.
My love, I took the liberty of asking the Archbishop to come and see us.
About St. Seraphim.
He's not a saint yet, Nicky.
I think of him as that already.
So do I. Our minds work in such harmony. Couldn't you see him first?
Of course. Ask the Archbishop to come in, will you? Constantine, thank you for coming. Do come and sit down. Now, you've heard of the hermit Seraphim.
Seraphim, oh yes, he died in some odor of sanctity, I believe. There are stories. I think he was a little, he lived alone for a long time. Your Majesty as well?
Very well, Father. And you, I hope?
He has been very much in our thoughts lately.
Seraphim?
Yes. We have spoken to many people who knew him. He was a very holy man, Father.
Oral traditions grow exaggerated with time.
We have found these stories very moving.
They seem quite authentic.
He healed many people, sometimes miraculously.
My wife has found him a great comfort.
Oh. Well, Holy Church can be a comfort too.
Oh, of course. Of course. We would like to sponsor his canonization.
Seraphim?
Yes? Do you see any reason why not?
Canonization in the eyes of the Church is a very serious matter.
People are canonized, and someone must be the first to suggest it.
But usually there's a body of evidence and belief that grows over the years. In this case...
I would have thought if the Emperor wishes it, that would have been sufficient.
We're both convinced of his sanctity. We've studied the matter. My wife has prayed to him.
To a dead hermit?
Many men were dead hermits before they became saints.
But until a man is canonized by the Church, I wouldn't have thought him a suitable object of prayer.
I think it's what one has in one's heart that matters.
He has been a very great help to me.
And so I hope has our Lord.
What the Empress means is, she has conceived again.
Is it certain?
Well, more or less.
I'm very happy for Her Majesty. May God grant Russia her son, as he has granted the child.
She feels in her heart, and I do too, that Seraphim has helped her. Perhaps interceded for her.
Her Majesty has conceived before without his aid. May I ask, has this anything to do with the French faith he left Philippe?
Sometimes, Archbishop, one needs more than the image of Holy Church. One needs a focus for one's spiritual dedication.
And Philippe suggested Seraphim?
I am well aware of your dislike of Philippe. Not to mention the dislike and the rudeness with which he was treated by others. That is why he finally left Russia. But I found him a help and a comfort. The Emperor wishes to canonize Seraphim.
I understand that. But it's a matter for the Church.
Of course. But you'll put it to them. You'll express my strong desire. Now, you really must excuse me. My ministers are waiting. The Empress will tell you everything we know about Seraphim. I hope that you... Well, we should like him canonized.
Are you all right?
I wasn't made for the terrorists' bomb. They missed me by a mile.
What do they hope to gain from such actions?
A new Minister of the Interior. That's what they got out of the last one.
Strikes in schools and factories. Riots in the countryside. Assassinations. It makes me sick to read the news.
Every country has its moods. Like a woman. Russia's in a dark one at present, but she'll come through it.
What have you got for me there?
A report, an investigation into the so-called Union of Liberation.
Do I have to read it?
No, sir. There's nothing in it you don't already know. Most of these organizations are the same. Lawyers, Jews, intellectuals, only the names change a bit.
We must keep a firm hand on them.
We are.
And the unions, they mislead everyone.
It's better to have the unions on our side than the nihilists. That way the workers get their socialism, we all keep our heads. There's no trouble from the Marxists. Lenin has fled the country, Trotsky's in hiding. Most of the others are in cold storage in Siberia.
Well, we'd better get this wretched Japanese business over. Would you ask the others in?
In view of the situation, we must send reinforcements to the troops in Port Arthur and Mukden.
I think that would be provocative.
It would be cautionary.
If war comes, it will be God's will. We have nothing to fear, and we shall win, on the other hand. I don't want to provoke it.
We shall have provoked it anyway by our refusal to negotiate seriously. I think we should telegraph an offer at once to the Japanese.
What kind of offer?
To withdraw from Korea.
We've no troops in Korea.
We've got economic interests there, which are only a thinly disguised cover for political penetration. The Japanese aren't fools, and neither am I.
My conscience is clear. I don't believe we have any need to make concessions. Morally, we're in the right.
And if the Japanese are prepared to fight?
Short, victorious war might be what Russia needs in her present mood.
It may be neither short nor victorious.
Oh, I think we'll very soon teach the little men a lesson, but let's try to make them see sense and reopen negotiations. Perhaps we could do it through the French.
Grand Duke says sent this, sire.
The Japanese have attacked our fleet in Port Arthur. Without warning and without declaration of war. 3 of our battleships have been sunk.
The French military attaché.
I told him I thought it astounding that the French have not sent their fleet down to keep Port Arthur open till you send the Baltic fleet, which I'm sure you will send out soon, thus restoring to you the command of the sea. I pray heaven may shield and protect you and all your family through coming times. Warmest love to Alex and your mother from your most devoted friend and cousin, Willie.
I nearly forgot.
Look. That's the first one. What do you think?
Seraphim. Oh, it's lovely, Nicky.
If you like it, I'll tell them to start production straight away. I want to hand one to each soldier before he goes to the front.
You are so thoughtful. Perhaps a trifle premature.
Oh, the church will agree. I'm certain of it.
Saint Seraphim. He did help me, you know.
Nothing and no one will shake my belief in him.
Oh, will it be a boy, Nicky?
After 4 girls, perhaps God will say, let her have a boy.
Oh, that would be... I sometimes believe it is because I have failed to produce a son that I am so unpopular.
Oh, I won't listen to that. Everyone loves you. Oh, I feel so good. Despite the news from the war, I feel everything's going to come right. Russia's on the march. We have a divine mission to lead the world in a great spiritual resurgence. I know it. No matter what people say. All this unrest. What does it amount to? A few discontented intellectuals? Pleva was right. Russia has her moods like a woman, but she'll come through them, and you know why. Because Russia is one. Indivisible.
With her Tsar at her head.
A boy? A Tsarevich! How much does he weigh?
8 pounds.
8 pounds?
I still can't believe
8 pounds! Oh, God is good. It's the seal of his approval on your reign.
Yes. Alex was sitting down to lunch. She'd hardly finished her soup when she rushed upstairs, and within the hour, it was here.
Can I see?
Of course, of course.
Mamma is with her now, but she should be out in a few minutes.
What are you going to call him?
Alexis. After the second Romanov. He was always my favorite.
This will give the nation what it needs. A sense of permanence. Of things going on in spite of setbacks, in spite of unrest. What have you decided about von Pleffer's successor?
Well, I'm pressed on all sides to take Prince Mirsky.
There's a flabby hand, if ever I felt one.
I would prefer one. Pleffer's deputy, but everyone says that I should dissociate myself from the past. What do you really think about Mirsky?
He likes to be liked. And a minister who fears the hatred of the mob will never do his work right. That's the principle I govern Moscow on. Yes, well, let me see the boy.
Of course. And by the way, Uncle, I'm sending the Baltic fleet out to the Pacific.
Wise. Wise.
Well, the Kaiser's been urging me to do it for some time, and he's right. We must teach those Japanese a lesson.
In the end, the Tsar must decide. Who else is there?
What a kind thought it was of yours to ask me to be godfather to your little boy. May he grow to be a brave soldier and a wise and powerful statesman. May he be as a ray of sunshine to you both during all your life as he is now, in the time of trial.
The bleeding has stopped.
But what is it? What is it?
We're not sure.
But why should he suddenly bleed like that? Why?
We shall have to carry out some tests.
But from the navel for no reason. What can it be? His little arm is covered in bruises.
He must have hit himself while in his cot.
Children don't bruise themselves like that. What are you saying?
It's too early.
Yes, of course, it's too early, my love.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
My love.
Oh, no. No. Oh, no. 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 No.
It's too early.
Yes, of course it is.
It's in the family. We've always known. But why him? Why, my little boy?
Shall I ask Prince Mirski to come back later, sire?
No, I'm coming. Do what you have to. God will take care of us. I'm sorry I've kept you so long.
I've brought with me the final document produced by the Assembly of Town Councils.
It confirms your view of things, I suppose.
It makes recommendations. I'm in sympathy with yes. A resolution was also passed. It expresses the belief in the dire necessity for constitutional reforms.
Elected representatives?
Some form of elected representatives to assist in the work of legislation. Will you read it?
No. I told you at the time of your appointment, some reforms may be needed and will be made, but the government must appoint the men who frame the laws.
It's my duty to tell you that I've never heard such an ominous sound from a city as I hear now in Petersburg. Such is the mood of the working people that the slightest thing will touch off a strike, and a strike a riot.
Oh, you only see the workers in the cities. But Russia's more than that. It's the great mass of the peasantry who are the backbone and lifeblood of this country.
Sire, do you realize that there are 10 million wooden plows in use in the countryside? Do you know that 30% of the peasantry have no working animals to draw those plows?
The true heart of a country is not made up of facts and figures. I tell you, I see things you don't see. Why, only the other day, A man and his wife came all the way from Siberia, walked, let me tell you, to bring my children a sable pup, a tame one, and you know how rare they are. But they wanted us to have him. Keep him, little father, they said. In our village, they'll only kill him for his fur. Let your children play with him. We were very touched, Alex and I.
I will leave the document here.
Well, I'll read it. I didn't say I wouldn't, but I won't accept resolutions. We're going through a difficult time. I've much on my mind.
The war is a strain on all of us.
It's not just the war. The English are making a great fuss over the help the Germans are giving us, claiming violations of neutrality and heaven knows what. God, what masters of hypocrisy they are. It was time they were taught a lesson. Well, ask my secretary to come in, will you, on your way out? Send a telegram to His Imperial Majesty, the Emperor of Germany. Dear Willie, I have no words to express my indignation at England's conduct. The only way... That was taken long before any of you were born. What about this picture here? Have you seen this before?
I think he's going to sleep.
Funny one, isn't it?
Oh, my love. Here, put him in his cot, will you? He's wet. Don't disturb him. Tuck his little arms in tight.
Who's that? Yes, you do. You are naughty. That's it.
We shall watch him every moment, every day. I believe there is a reason for it, Nicky, and it will be revealed to us.
I'm certain of it. Don't bend the photos, Tatiana.
Sorry, Papa.
I know.
Sire, I must speak with you.
You know I won't be disturbed while I'm at tea with the children.
It is very urgent.
Never mind, my love. The children have finished their tea.
Come on.
Come on, my darling.
Little one.
All right. Sit tight. Off you go.
You're the funny one. Are you going to be a good girl? Go to sleep tonight properly. Promise? There's a good one. Off you go, then.
Will you take tea, Prince?
Thank you. Sire, the situation is... The situation is very grave. I've just heard that Father Gapon and the others intend to lead a demonstration into the square of the Winter Palace.
When?
Tomorrow.
On Sunday?
They want you to receive a deputation and listen to their grievances.
But we're not there.
I think it may be as well to consider being there. The General Fullon is of the opinion that the size of the crowd may in itself create disorder, although it's not intended.
Then it's Fullon's business to control them.
Sire, the city is... The city is at boiling point. I've tried to convey this to you during the past few weeks, and now we are doing and will do all we can to control the situation.
Why haven't the leaders been arrested?
General Fullon does not feel that he has enough police to make this possible. There are at least 100,000 people involved.
Then he must get help from the military.
I have already arranged for that. But it would be far better for you to appear on the balcony. That is why they're coming. They want you to receive them. I've talked the situation over with Lambsdorff and Kokotsov, and they both agree it's by far the most sensible solution. Well, I don't know. Sire, I beg you to receive them. Their belief in you is the motive for the whole demonstration.
Prince Mirsky, what nonsense is this? Capitulate to a mob? Is that what you're asking my husband to do?
Madame, there is no capitulation.
Oh, I think there is, Prince. People do not come into the grounds of our home without an invitation. And if they do, they must be put out.
Sire,
The
I beg...
Empress is right.
In any case, Prince, do you not think it a piece of criminal insolence for working men to consider approaching their sovereign in person?
Madame, they are not in the mood to be taught manners. Sire,
I won't receive such a deputation. Under the circumstances, I would appear to be surrendering to a mob. I'm surprised that you should advise me to do so.
thank you for the tea.
My love, call Prince Vasilchikov. I think his cavalry might be of use at the Winter Palace.
Yes. Yes, you're right. The presence of cavalry will have a calming effect.
A beautiful day, but very cold. After lunch, I took a very long walk. As Lambsdorff insists on showing the Kaiser's draft treaty to the French before we sign it, I have given up the idea altogether. Since yesterday, there are strikes in Petersburg, and all the plants and mills and troops from the neighborhood are being called in to reinforce the garrison. Mirsky called to discuss measures he thinks should be taken. I feel sure that in the end, good sense will prevail.
Little father, last Sunday was a disgrace. The work of agitators who tricked the people with wild promises. We want you to know that your people love you and are loyal to you and your family.
Thank you. But I must tell you this. Strikes and riots only excite the unemployed to start disorders which will compel the authorities to use force. I know the life of a workman is not easy. There's a great deal that can be improved. But for a mutinous crowd to bring its needs before me is criminal. Have patience. You must be just to your employers and take account of the industrial conditions of our country. I believe in the feelings of our working people and in their loyalty towards me. And because of it, I forgive them their crime.
And then, my dear Bülow, the talk turned to England and how the French have flirted outrageously with her. The Tsar hung down his head dejectedly and said, "That is too bad. What shall I do in this disagreeable situation?" I felt then that the moment had come. I reminded him of that draft treaty we had discussed a few months ago. "Oh, yes, to be sure," he said. "I remember it well, but I've forgotten the contents of it. What a pity I haven't got it here." "I possess a copy," I said, "which by an extraordinary chance I happen to have in my pocket." He caught me by the hand. "Show it to me, please," he said, and his dreamy eyes lit up. I drew the envelope from my pocket and laid it before the Tsar. He read it quickly. I sent up a fervent prayer to the good God that he would be with us in this moment and guide the young monarch right. Then the Tsar looked up and said quietly, "This is quite excellent. I quite agree." My heart beat so hard I could hear it, but I pulled myself together and said quite casually, "Should you like to sign it? It would be a very nice souvenir of our meeting." He ran his eyes over the document again, and then he said, "Yes, I will." I flung back the cover of the inkstand, handed him the pen, and he wrote in a firm hand, "Nicholas." I signed my name under his. He folded me in his arms and said, "I thank God and I thank you." Bright tears stood in my eyes. It was an historic occasion.
We must forget it. Forget it ever happened. It cannot be done.
Oh, you people, you tie everything up in endless complications.
Tsar, you have signed a treaty that requires us to defend Germany if she goes to war with France. And for 15 years we have been committed by treaty to do the opposite.
I didn't read it that way!
But that is the way it must be read. And that is the way the French will read it.
I have to agree with Count Lambsdorff. Your ministers cannot sign this treaty.
That's how you feel about it. Do as you like. Done my best for you. Can't do any more.
I'm sorry. This has been the most terrible year. The war
and led to a national outcry for reform. The Tsar, Nicholas II, was about to accede to this, when 3 weeks later his uncle, the Grand Duke Sergei, was assassinated in Moscow. At this point, he began to change his mind. The former minister Witte, out of favor because of his opposition to the Japanese war, was quick to hear of the visit and anxious to voice his apprehension.
And do you know why? Because Rachkovsky's own men planted the bombs there in the first place. And later, when he was removed, on your orders, his creatures, Ratev and Zobortov, took over.
They have no love for him, I assure you.
Nevertheless, they carry on his techniques. They have saturated the revolutionary movement with their own men. And when a bomb goes off, one does not know whether it is the work of a zealot or some overenthusiastic policeman seeking promotion.
Are you suggesting that von Plehve, my Minister of the Interior, was killed by one of his own men?
I have heard rumors to that effect.
And are you suggesting that my uncle, the Grand Duke Serge, was killed by a man in the pay of my own secret police? It is 2 years since you saw fit to resign from my cabinet. I have brought you here merely to sound out the possibility of peace with Japan, and within minutes you are lecturing me on matters which do not concern you.
Your banks will not issue loans unless enforced security. Legally for foreign nationals shall not enter.
There is no money.
Your banks will not issue loans unless enforced security. Legally for foreign nationals shall not maintain our position against the Japanese Navy.
It would seem to me, Admiral, you have little position to maintain.
But I am quite convinced these ships do not exist.
And I am quite convinced they do.
Willie, why don't you go to Paris and verify the details? Does seem to me a bit odd that you're willing to buy 4 battleships sight unseen from the South American Republic.
Mr. Theodore Rachkovsky, sir. If you want to crush the Japs, sir, we shall need these ships.
Sir, these ships do not exist, except in the imagination of the man who's trying to sell them.
We have no ships. The Pacific Squadron has been destroyed, the Black Sea Squadron is bottled up, and the Baltic Squadron, if it ever gets...
And Kokotsov, if you feel so skeptical, why don't you send someone from the Treasury to Paris along with the Admiral here?
I certainly shall, sir.
Very well. But I would just like to advise Minister Kokotsov here that his negative attitude may set back our victory in the Pacific by at least a year.
That will be all, gentlemen.
No money at all. I haven't been being Minister of Finance.
Your Majesty.
Sit down, Mr. Ratchkovsky.
I have been considering the appointment of a new head of security in the St. Petersburg area, and your name has been brought to my notice. It is not, of course, unfamiliar to me.
I thought the post was most ably filled by Mr. Lapuchin.
Mr. Lapuchin has tendered his resignation. As chief of security, he was responsible for the safety of the Grand Duke. My uncle's death is a great shock to me. We were never close, but that does not diminish my grief. Now, I must first ask you, if you are offered the post, are you in a position to accept it?
In whatever capacity your Majesty so desires I serve, I will serve.
The reports that I have received of my uncle's death place the responsibility on the battle organization of the social revolutionaries, and this is led by a man called Adsef, I believe.
That is so.
There is a rumor in St. Petersburg that Adsef is in the pay of the secret police.
Such is the political climate of today that rumors like these easily gain weight and momentum. They contribute to the forces of anarchy, they destroy the very fabric of society.
Is it true that my uncle's murderer is in the pay of my own intelligence service?
Sir, I have been out of the force for some time.
What I want to know is, did you at any time in the past recruit Atsef or any of his accomplices?
Sir, you are talking about the murderers of your uncle.
Mr. Witter, my esteemed minister, has characterized your contribution to the Secret Service as follows: a pioneer of provocation tactics. If the French invented the term agent provocateur, it is Ratchkovsky, he says, who refined it.
Mr. Witter is no friend of mine, and I'm reluctant to accept such a compliment even from him.
He points out that you were dismissed from your position as head of the Foreign Service 5 years ago on the basis of this report.
It was signed, I believe, by Mr. Lapuchin, if I remember correctly.
In whom, through bitter experience, I now have no confidence. However, it was proved that you used your position as head of K-section to obtain information which led you to making several fortunes on the stock exchange.
Sir, since I left your service, I've made several more. Is that also to be held against me?
No. Your efficiency in that direction, though a subject of scandal, does not concern me. There is, however, one aspect of the report which does. The Philippe affair. As head of K-section, you made secret inquiries concerning the relationship of my wife and a certain holy man, Father Philippe. This was done without my knowledge.
Your Majesty, the matter was becoming a subject of scandal.
Your inquiries did not make it any the less so. My wife is a deeply religious woman. A dossier on every person who attaches themselves to her court was hardly likely to please her.
I would like to remind you, sir.
I'm sure, Mr. Ratchkovsky, your first consideration was for myself. But you failed to realize that I and the Procurator of the Holy Synod were already dissuading her from her spiritual infatuation with Philippe when your report came in.
Father Philippe was a charlatan.
Father Philippe prayed to God to give her a son. God gave her a son.
Your Majesty, the petite parade is at 1 o'clock. I must respectfully point out to your Highness that etiquette demands that you wear a naval uniform for this occasion.
You may attend me later, Mr. Ratchkovsky.
Hungary and Siberia, there is an
you think? New acquisition since your day here. It is a present from the Kaiser. In case you don't get the message, it represents our Imperial Majesty beating back the Yellow Peril single-handed. How do you like it?
It's a trifle unsubtle.
Unlike you, Rachkovsky.
Tell me, Mr. Vita, do you think there'll be peace this year?
If there is not, sir, we shall have revolution.
His Imperial Majesty, Tsar of all the Russias.
Gentlemen. I see we're all here. Peter, Kokotsov, dear friend.
Well, Trepov, how is St. Petersburg?
Safe enough now for your majesty to return. Not only that, I guarantee you a joyous welcome. The people miss their little father.
Tell me, Trepov, have you managed to whitewash this shabby episode yet? And their ringleader, the saintly Father Gapon, where is he?
Fled the country. I think he realizes that he bears a responsibility for what happened that day.
I bear the responsibility. 500 of my people are dead, shot down in front of my palace.
The responsibility... The blame is Gapon's. He led the march without permission.
And nevertheless, one cannot but regard the episode...
Let us close the incident. Sir, the city is back to normal.
I'm sure if you'd been there in the first place, Trepov, the incident would never have occurred.
If that damned fool Lapuchin had done his job...
Lapuchin is being replaced.
Oh? By whom?
I have not as yet made up my mind. But Mr. Rachkovsky has indicated his willingness to serve.
You know my opinion. I think that is a very bad idea. Such an appointment will be seen as a move to the right, at a time when I understood your majesty to be conceding overdue reforms on individual liberties.
I have conceded the reform.
And at the same time, staffing your security forces with hardliners. There's a contradiction there somewhere.
The country is too unstable for reforms. However, given 2 or 3 years of firm government, things may be different.
You mean a police state? Because that is what is implied when you introduce men like your friend there. Even the palace will not be safe from inquiries. That's it, isn't it, Rachkovsky? When it comes to meddling in other people's affairs, nothing is sacred.
If you say so, Mr. Vita, you're the expert.
I didn't know that Chile had a navy.
According to Abatza, they have 4 battleships, and what is more, they are for sale.
Yes, for 25 million.
You don't trust Admiral Abatza.
I'm sending him to Paris.
With 25 million, my God, you'll never see it again.
I resent that, sir. As an officer in the Imperial Navy, on behalf of the Admiral, I must protest most strongly.
I was merely jesting, General. When I said I didn't trust him, I meant his judgment, not his integrity.
The Admiral needs the ships.
The way he's losing the Baltic fleet piecemeal, no wonder. Why don't you give the money directly to Japan and cut out the middlemen?
Well, for a man who took no interest in the war...
On the contrary.
You resigned at the outset and...
My views on the war are a matter of record. I am against it.
Gentlemen, gentlemen. That remark was uncalled for, Mr. Vita. We're very proud of our Navy.
Gentlemen, His Imperial Majesty, Tsar of all the Russias.
Your Majesty, we're here to honor the brave.
So I see, General.
Mr. President.
Here, let me do it.
Tsar Konstantinovich Fedorova for outstanding bravery at the Battle of the River Agya. In the face of overwhelming odds, did defend his comrades without thought to his own safety. The Medal for Outstanding Gallantry.
Tell me in your own words, Tsar Konstantinovich. I was concerned only for my brothers.
Anton Ivanovich Mostoy, for holding his post alone when all his comrades had been slain, and for remaining there until relief arrived. Vladimir Vladimirovich Norkova, for outstanding bravery aboard his ship, which caught fire. Regardless of his own personal safety, did put out many fires, and thereby saved many lives.
You were at Port Arthur.
There were thousands more. Why choose me, little father?
Because you lived to tell the tale, my friend.
Alexei Ivanovich Solzhenitsyn.
We failed you, little father. We've all failed you.
No, I failed you and your comrades.
But your majesty, we would die for you. Yes, little father, we would die for you.
The River Agya, when he overran and took enemy positions single-handedly. Ivan Ivanovich Morgotov.
General Hess! Do something about this shambles!
Do you think I'm becoming soft, Rachkovsky? Only yesterday I signed 2 proclamations establishing an assembly and the right to petition.
I would say this was a tactical move, sir.
You misunderstand my position. And so does the good Trepov. Did you hear him tell me it was now safe for the Tsar to return to St. Petersburg? As if it were ever not so. I am here at Tsarskoye Selo because I like it. Not because 900 men tried to cross the palace square in St. Petersburg to present me with their grievances and were shot down for their trouble. It is not me that is not safe in St. Petersburg, but my people. What happened that Sunday was a series of errors in judgment made by men in whom I had every confidence. And the result is that I have been caricatured across the pages of the world press as a tyrant. I love my people! And they love me. Witness that demonstration in the hall just now. Admittedly, there are areas of misunderstanding between us. A gap which is fed by firebrands and intellectuals, Jews and Masons, and men who have made it their mission to destroy the people's love for me. And yet I'm cursed by administrators who are so blinded by their own ambitions. They cannot see a major catastrophe within 10 feet of their noses. This is what the Grand Duke Vladimir announces to the press when the corpses of the dead still melt the snow. We prevented the assemblage. It's time the country was returned to the professionals. Tell me, is there any reality to this talk of revolution?
Yes, sir, there is. Sir, when you tap a barometer and it points to rain, that doesn't necessarily mean we shall all be drowned in the flood.
I've made arrangements for you to have tea with Her Majesty. It's her wish that she talk to you before I make up my mind.
I understand, sir.
These are the reports regarding the Manchurian campaign. Arrangements will have to be made for the state funeral of the Grand Duke. And then there's some correspondence with the French ambassador relating to emigre activities in
Imperial
Paris.
Majesty. Mr. Rachkovsky, sir. That'll be all. You saw Her Majesty.
We have made our peace.
Very well. I appoint you Chief of the St. Petersburg Secret Police, with special regard to our own welfare. The articles of appointment will be drawn up in the morning.
Sir, the position does not carry the power necessary to discharge the responsibilities. In order to see that certain tragic events do not reoccur, I shall require 2 further posts.
Name them.
No.
I hope I've done the right thing.
Nicholas acceded at last to the pleas of the reformers. A parliament was elected called the Duma, and Witte was named as the Tsar's chief minister. But the business of law and order remained with the generals.
Sir, I beg of you.
I have given you your Duma. What more do you want? Hello? Hello?
You give with one hand and take away with the other.
Country's in a state of chaos. The peasants are up to their old tricks. Now they're burning and shooting.
Order will be restored, sir, if you will trust your squires, your lawyers, and your country doctors. This is the class that can bring the people back to their senses. But they must have a say in how the country is run.
I've given them a parliament, and I've placed you at the head of it, and what good has that done?
And you have placed yourself at the head of this Land League, a reactionary body if ever there was one. You ignore the Black Hundreds when they burn villages and murder Jews, and you employ men like Rachkovsky, who uses his power so ruthlessly that he foments the very anarchy that we are now trying to prevent.
Rubbish, Victor.
The people want to know how you stand.
The Tsar stands above politics. Without the Tsar, the country would disintegrate.
Sir, if we continue in this way, it will. Foreign investment will be cut. Our industrialization program will fragment.
Hello, is that Trepov? I want to speak to General Trepov.
If we look into the future, if we look at Germany and its expansionism and the dangers that that will bring...
Look into the future, Mr. Witte. When my mother still waits 2 weeks at the border and I still cannot raise a regiment to convey her safely to St. Petersburg. Hello. You have talked about our inefficiency, Prime Minister. This country has always been inefficient. You tell me of the revolt of the peasantry. The peasants are always revolting. The anarchy in our cities. The workers comprise 3.5% of the population, and you preach to me your representative democracy? For what? You're talking like a European, Mr. Witte, while I am talking about Russia. Hello? Trepov? This is Nicholas Alexandrovich, Tsar of all the Russias! Fetch me Trepov! We shall survive, Mr. Witte, if only to prove that the one force for unity on the continent is the Tsar. I hope it will not be foggy tomorrow. Is my uncle going to ask a lot of questions about the way we treat our Jews in Russia?
You may mention it.
Well, I'm not prepared to talk about it.
Oh, we can talk about it, sir.
This is the kind of thing that's going to be the result of signing a treaty with Britain. Well, all I can say...
There's Papa! Is that Papa?
The Empress has said all along it was a mistake.
But advantages will flow from it. We must give it a chance.
Oh, she has very sound intuitions. Not government, perhaps, but
She knows the treaty is not popular with the masses. She's very close to them.
Your ministers are not exactly strangers to them.
No, of course, but she's a woman. That makes a difference. I sometimes think she hears their every heartbeat.
There's another consideration. The Dardanelles. Treaty might help to get them opened.
Do you think the British are going to change their minds now?
I'm working on it.
The Turks will never yield our fleet the right to pass through the Dardanelles, and the British will support them.
The British are realists. If they have to choose between Turkey and us, they know how to change their minds.
Forget the Dardanelles. It's a mare's nest.
Forget the Dardanelles? He consigns 3 centuries of our foreign policy into the ash can with a phrase.
The Empress wishes to remind you, sire, that it's time for tea.
Well, I see no advantage in a treaty. If all we get out of it are a lot of questions about the way we treat our Jews.
I was sure it was going to be foggy. I kept saying to Alex, I shall be so miserable if the sun doesn't shine for Uncle Bertie.
Well, you see, the good Lord blesses our enterprise. You must talk to Harding about that. Have you spoken to him?
Not yet. Not yet. Would your Majesty care for a stroll?
Oh, well.
Your Majesty has his ear to so many doors. I thought...
Oh, I don't always get it right, you know. And I can't speak for the Cabinet.
Well then, what is your Majesty's view? I mean, if you were us. If England were Russia.
Well, we'd want the Dardanelles open to our Navy. I think that's only natural.
Ah.
I think it must come. But when? And we'd have to look at Turkey in a new light. After all, we've propped her up for years to keep the Russians out of the Mediterranean.
Times have changed. You know how hard I've worked for this treaty between us.
I know my nephew doesn't want it.
He inclines towards the Kaiser and Franz Joseph. It's a more conservative grouping. Suits his nature more. But if we could pull off something with British support, he might begin to see the benefit.
You'll have trouble with Austria.
Not necessarily.
Oh, you've been having talks, have you, with Arental?
He wants to do something positive. What do you think of him?
He always has to be proving himself, you know. That worries me.
Ah, it's the Jew in him.
Oh, is he a Jew?
Oh, way back somewhere he got splashed.
No, I don't think it's that. It's more that he's an amateur. Amateurs have fancy ideas. And fancy ideas frighten British politicians.
Oh, they prefer them plain, like their food. Well, I agree Arental is a bit fancy. He gets an idea and flings himself into it.
And you?
I think it may be time for a little old world diplomacy.
It is intolerable. Intolerable! Are we to meet this appeal from the Serbs? Can we meet it? Are we in a position to meet it? Of course we are not. Your foreign minister has brought us to the brink of war with his grand style diplomacy.
Do you think there was an agreement?
They agreed something. What it is, we're not in a position to say, since your foreign minister chooses not to confide in us.
You must write to the Kaiser, my love. Ask him to intercede in Vienna. It is the only way at times like this. Monarch must speak to monarch. It is so much easier.
Yes. Yes, I'll write to him. What do you think?
You may write to him, though I doubt it will do us much good.
I think that it will. I am sure he disapproves of this Austrian adventure.
He may, but his ministers won't.
That will not be material. The Kaiser is the strongest voice in Germany.
He is not the strongest voice in Germany, he is only the loudest.
I do not think it right, Peter Arkadievich, to refer to the Emperor's cousin in that manner.
I speak what I feel, Your Imperial Majesty. This is not a time to mince words. We might, within the next days, be at war with the Emperor's cousin.
Well, let's not quarrel. Now, how do we answer this appeal for support from the Serbs?
At this stage, we must let it be seen we support them. Empty gesture as it may turn out to be.
I told you, my love. This alliance with Britain will do us no good.
Oh, I don't know. It seems
the Austrians would never dare behave like this. If you were great friends with the Kaiser.
But how does one become great friends with the Kaiser?
You bought a bargain, but you got tricked into leaving it behind.
Bargain? Everyone keeps talking about bargains. Am I running a carpet shop in the souks?
You've behaved as if you were.
There was a discussion. There was no bargain.
A discussion you failed to inform your own government about.
Because I was not ready. Can't you understand? Arentel pulled the mat out from under my feet. How can you conduct foreign policy in this way? Are these to be the new diplomatic ethics of the 20th century? Can't one discuss possibilities without being accused of making bargains? We were looking for a new era in cooperation between Russia and Austria. That was the basis for the talks.
That was the basis. But you forgot to mention the price. The incorporation of Bosnia-Herzegovina into the Austrian Empire.
Well, in exchange for their support over the Dardanelles.
Oh, damn your Dardanelles! You sold out the Serbs.
Who cares about the Serbs?
We do! Russia does! And if you'd read a Russian newspaper occasionally, you would know that.
Are you joking? Oh, well, of course we care about the Serbs. But...
Times change, Alexander Petrovich. We're no longer interested in the Dardanelles.
I've heard that said before, Your Majesty, but I don't believe it.
It's not a vital issue anymore.
Oh, then it should be!
What use is the right to pass our fleet through the Dardanelles when we do not have a fleet? Our fleet is at the bottom of the Pacific, sunk by the Japanese.
But we have the Black Sea Fleet, and we have a naval building program.
It is not an issue worth betraying the Serbs for, and even if you get your conference, you will not get the Dardanelles open.
Oh, why not?
Because the British will only agree if they are open to the warships of all nations. Do you imagine, Baron, that Russia will ever agree to that? I had the British ambassador here this morning. That is the view of the British cabinet.
We could mobilize. Why throw everything away so quickly? Your Majesty has written to the Kaiser. I've seen him. He's promised to intercede. Give it a chance to work. If we'll rattle enough sabers, we'll get a conference and find a formula. That I can promise you.
All right. Do what you can. Rattle as many sabers as you like, Baron, but draw none. Or even you will see they're all broken off at the hilt.
Tsar Nicholas appealed to Kaiser Wilhelm of Germany to save the peace. But Germany supported Austria, and in the next 2 days, the Russian and German armies began to mobilize. On August the 1st, Kaiser Wilhelm telegraphed to the Tsar, earnestly entreating him to hold back his troops.
It's a telegram from Uncle Billy.
Yes. Yes, I know, Anastasia.
On the same day, Germany declared a state of war with Russia.
He was never sincere. Never.
On August the 3rd, Germany attacked Belgium and France. On August the 4th, Britain declared war on Germany. On August the 6th, Emperor Franz Joseph of Austria signed a declaration of war on Russia.
I solemnly swear that I will never make peace so long as a single enemy remains on Russian soil.
The Russian First and Second Armies struck in the north. The German High Command sent 2 army corps from France under 2 of its greatest generals, Hindenburg and Ludendorff, and defeated them utterly.
We are happy to have made such sacrifices for our allies.
Yes.
We shall survive our misfortune. One battle does not win a war. Here we are advancing.
Against the Austrians.
Yes, but we need ammunition, heavy guns, more trained troops, food for the troops, boots even. An army cannot march without boots. The supply and training services are beneath contempt.
I'll see what can be done.
There are no medical services.
The Empress herself.
It is not enough that Alexandra works for the Red Cross. The whole nation must join this war, and the government must lead them and have their confidence and support us. Half my troubles are caused in Petrograd.
Only half.
There is nothing wrong with the Imperial Army, but unless it is supported, it will die.
At all events, the Grand Duke thinks I ought to change the government.
Know that I do not trust Nicolasha. He is not very clever, and he tries to dominate you.
He's a fine general.
Nicky, he curries favor.
Could make yourself useful and turn the pages for Tatiana. There's a good chap.
And he imposes on your ministers with his loud voice and gesticulations. No one knows who is Tsar anymore, you or Nicolasha.
That is not true.
The war will not go well so long as he is there. Our friend is certain of it.
And our friend does not approve of the war.
The outstanding field commander from the Northern Front.
What's the feeling amongst the troops?
They will still fight for God and their Tsar.
We have these men.
But how often can the army renew itself, sir? We need nearly everything.
I know.
We have no aeroplanes. And General Headquarters.
Yes, I know. I'm going to recommend to the Grand Duke he make you his chief of staff.
He will not have me, Your Majesty. He thinks there should be a dictator, sir.
I am the ruler, General Alexiev.
Give me strength. I've made up my mind.
And so, gentlemen, now that the enemy has penetrated far into the empire, my duty to the country which God has committed to my keeping ordains that I assume supreme control of the fighting forces, share the burdens and trials of war with my army, and help it to protect Russian soil against the onslaught of the foe. I leave for General Headquarters in the morning.
Don't wear yourself out, lovey.
Alexiev will be my chief of staff. He'll see that everything's done. And you must be my eyes and ears in Petrograd. I rely on you for the truth. Send the little one to me as soon as you can.
Will he be safe, Nicky?
Oh, yes. I'll look after him. If he's good, I'll make him a corporal. God keep you.
And you, my darling.
My ministers will send their reports to you.
And the Duma. Must I talk to those upstarts?
Oh, no. I've empowered the Premier to dissolve it. Come in!
Those are the copies made for Your Majesty.
Thank you, Alexia.
May I see?
No, but only battle reports.
If Your Imperial Highness would care to see the Preobrazhensky Guard drilling.
May I, Papa?
Yes, go on. There goes half my sadness. great deal of my joy.
If Your Majesty would care to follow me. General Brusilov will attack here, over the Carpathians once again. This time, we hope, to Vienna.
When?
In June, sir.
No. That's not soon enough. I shall go for my usual walk this afternoon. I have to consider some ministerial changes.
Those papers are for Your Majesty's eyes only, please. By your leave, sir. If Your Majesty is contemplating making changes, it would be better to replace the Premier and his new Minister of the Interior, Protopopov. That man's ridiculous.
General Alexeyev. These are loyal men. My father handed me his power unbroken, and I must keep it and pass it to my son, to Alexis. That is my duty. I didn't want it, God knows, and I'm burdened with it.
Nicky, you haven't been an autocrat since 1905. That's what you and Alexandra don't seem to realize. She especially. And she has the worst possible advisors.
You all find fault with Alex.
On the contrary, I'm fond of her. She's a beautiful woman. I'm sure she's an excellent wife and mother. But that is her sphere. For heaven's sake, Nicky, make her stay there. She's hated in Petrograd. They call her the German woman.
That damnable.
Send her away, Nicky.
Send her away.
Let her live on your Crimean estates until the war is over. She'll be quite happy there.
She'd be miserable. Besides, I need her in Petrograd.
We must be strong and face everything together. How immensely dear you are to me. How is baby? I long to see him. Cuddle and kiss him for me.
My darling little wifey. It is peaceful here, and the little one and I are both well. I'm sending you my cascara bottle to be refilled. Please ask our friend not to interfere in military matters which he does not understand. When I read your letters, my eyes are moist.
Your Majesty!
Tsarina trusts me completely.
Where is the child?
Here, Father.
He is better now. He will soon be well.
How is the Tsarevich, sir?
Oh, he's well.
Oh, good, good. I heard he had a cold.
Yes, he was always delicate. Do please sit down.
Oh, thank you.
Well, what have you to tell me, Mikhail Vladimirovich?
The news from the front is still bad, Your Majesty.
It's not good. You have any ideas?
I implore Your Majesty to reconvene the Duma.
Why?
to give your majesty support. The people will be disturbed by another defeat, and they know the government is incapable of preventing it.
And the Duma will bring us victory.
Have I your majesty's permission to speak freely? See, were your majesty's ministers capable men of independent views whose sole aim was the support of the country, then the public would respect them. But the few honest ones are not listened to, and most of the others owe their posts to one man only.
What man?
The false Stariat, Sir Grigory Rasputin.
You think he's false?
Generally thought so, sir. His debauchery, his association with people of low repute.
Yes, I know. I know all that.
It is said, sir, that he wants Russia to make a separate peace. And even that your majesty does too.
That is a disgusting lie.
It is publicly said, sir, that the Empress acts for you and agrees to these things. I hear, sir, I am consulted by all manner of people.
What do you suggest?
Form a responsible ministry who will work with the Duma and listen to the people, and banish Rasputin from Petrograd. I speak from love of your majesty and of our beloved country.
Well, there may be something, my friend, in what you say, but, well, you exaggerate, I think.
At least, sir, give us a new premier. Boris Sturmer is not up to it, and I beg you, I implore you, get rid of Protopopov. He'll drive the country insane with his own insanity. He can talk of nothing but repression. He makes a muddle out of everything he touches.
Well, I rather like Protopopov, but Sturmer must go, yes. Others have said so. Now, whom would you recommend in his place? The transport minister, Trepov?
Trepov? Not outstanding, but is worthy. He would work with the Duma.
Very well, then.
Please do not think, your majesty, that I came with an ultimatum.
No. Thank you for being straightforward and courageous. Not everyone is so.
No.
He reminds me of a skull on an old battlefield that the wind blows through.
Ritty? Oh, yes. Yes, I agree with that. He's a good man. Ritty to replace Obrinsky at the Ministry of Agriculture. Well, we've done rather well. 3 ministers replaced in 15 minutes. It's nice to get the dreary decisions made quickly, isn't it?
Yes, sir. And then there is one more. Protopopov.
Ah, yes. I used to think so well of him, but of late he's been sending in somewhat muddled reports, graphs.
He is incapable of responsible action. Job is beyond him. He's become a laughingstock.
Indeed. That is very bad. Do you like lilies, Mr. Trepov?
Sir?
Such a sweet scent. The Empress sent them to me. When I sniff them, I can almost believe that I'm at home. I used to have the Tsarevich here too, you know, but he's not been well.
I'm sorry. If I might go on, sir.
Oh, yes, you were saying. Protopopov, you think he should be replaced?
I couldn't work with him, sir, and he would be quite unacceptable to the rest.
I see.
Every day the muddle over food distribution and everything else with which he's concerned grows worse. It's bad enough for whoever has to replace him.
You're probably right. Poor old Protopopov. Well, we'll talk about it again.
But, sir...
Well, it's a little late, isn't it, to discuss final decisions now?
Very good, Your Majesty. Sir, the Duma?
Oh, if you recommend it, I'll reconvene the Duma. Well, it seems to me that our friend's ideas about people are sometimes very odd. Through his advice, I've lost a lot of good men who might have helped us. Let's not let the tea get company.
What good men, Nicky?
Everybody tells me.
And you listen to everybody.
Perhaps I've listened to you for too long. Oh, I'm sorry, Sonny, I didn't mean to snap, but this business of choosing ministers is damnable. I sometimes think my head's going to burst.
If you would only listen to our friend, all would be clear to you. Can you not see that Trepoff and the others want to see us friendless and alone, and that then they will get rid of us?
Oh, Sonny.
But they will, my love, unless we keep strong.
Trepoff seems to me to be an honest, reliable sort of chap.
Nicky, everyone seems honest to you. You cannot see the wickedness around us, the envy, even in the family. But I can, and that is why they hate me so much, because they know that Sonny is strong, like a wall behind you. You give in about Protopopov, and you give in to them. Forgive me, my love, but I am fighting for your reign and for baby. That child was not given to us and spared through all his illnesses for nothing. But we must guard his inheritance and give it to him untouched.
Do you think that I don't realize that?
I know that it is difficult for you, my love. But you do have help. Father Gregory speaks for the millions of people who look to you to lead them, to save them. But you have turned your back on him. Think of the number of times he has brought the little one back from the dead.
But that has nothing to do with government.
It has everything to do with government. Do you not realize that Father Gregory was sent by God to save the dynasty? That he uses him to speak to you and to guide you? If you would only listen. Nicky, it is not a question of Protopopov or XYZ, but it is your power that counts. These men should be coming to you with awe and fear to hear your will, not sitting here stating their terms and giving you advice.
Doesn't do to be always snapping and shouting.
I do not suggest that you snap. I suggest that you command. You are the emperor and autocrat of all the Russias. Why don't you feel it? You should never have allowed the Duma. Those brutes think they can speak to you as they like. Well, you must crush them under you, Nicky. You must be firm. Be Peter the Great. Be Ivan the Terrible. Do not laugh at me. I am in deadly earnest. It is time for saving your country and your child's throne. Oh, how I wish I could pour my will into your veins.
You do, my love. You strengthen me, but those old days, they're past.
Russia hasn't changed, Nicky. She still loves to feel the whip. And those who challenge your ideas must be removed. Rodzianko and many more. It is war with them all, my dearest, and we must fight. Doesn't your soul speak to you anymore, Nicky?
I simply want to do what is right.
Then trust me. Listen to our friend who is close to God. Do you dare turn away from his wisdom?
I'm so tired. I've never known things worse.
I know, my love. I know.
You were always my good angel.
Will you trust me then? Take our friend's advice and keep Protopopov.
He refuses to...
Your people are at the end of their endurance, sir. Even the army is restless. And the working men are beginning to strike for want of food.
And they're traitors.
Traitors or not, sir, they are desperate. Cossack and police patrols are needed everywhere. With respect, sir, you made a grave mistake when you took over responsibilities of Commander-in-Chief of the Army. Now all our reverses are blamed on your Majesty. You have lost the confidence of your people.
I would rather say that they have lost mine.
The people of Russia, sir, have always been prepared to fight for Tsar and motherland, but the two are no longer indissoluble. They will not be repressed forever. They will rise against you, and we shall not be able to hold them back.
And perhaps will not want to?
It has always been my great desire, sir, to see the Romanov dynasty go on, and Russia to be at peace with herself.
I believe you.
Then do not force the people to choose between the good of their country and you.
Can it be that for 22 years I've tried to do my best, and for 22 years it's all been a mistake?
Yes, sir. You've been wrong.
I most earnestly beg your Majesty to reconsider. To leave the capital at this particular moment might readily be interpreted by many people as, well...
Don't stutter, Alexander Dmitrievich.
Well, as neglect of duty, Majesty. Not that I, of course, nor any...
My duty at this moment is to my general staff. They're expecting me at headquarters, and tomorrow evening I shall be there.
A few days delay, Majesty. A week at the most. Until we can bring the situation under control.
Unbelievable. Monstrous. Who is this lunatic Kerensky?
A socialist man. Leader of the so-called labor group. We are having him watched day and night.
Vulgar, coarse little man. This speech is open treason against the imperial crown and against the state. I am astonished, Alexander Dmitrievich, that you did not have him arrested on the spot.
I fear your Majesty does not fully appreciate the mood of the Duma. I must confess at one moment I was in fear of my own life.
If this sort of speech continues to be tolerated, we shall all be in fear of our lives. It is not enough that the city is crawling with anarchist Bolshevik traitors. Now we must tolerate this sort of behavior in the Duma.
My dear, there's no need to become over-emotional. I'm sure Alexander Dmitrievich has the matter well in hand.
I'm only thinking of you, Nicky. If anything should happen to you...
My dear, there have been at least a dozen accounts of attempts upon my life in the foreign press this past month. I was even reported dead in one Swedish newspaper. I'm still here. You worry too much, Alex.
Her Majesty's fears are not entirely without foundation, Your Majesty.
Then you must deal with the situation as you see fit. You have the authority.
If Your Majesty were prepared to address the Duma, it would restore their confidence.
Are you telling me that I must deserve their confidence? Isn't it rather they who should try to restore mine?
It is a matter of diplomacy, Your Majesty.
You must not allow yourself to be intimidated by a gaggle of petty bourgeois troublemakers. If our dear friend were alive, he would not have allowed this to happen.
I sometimes wonder whether my people fully realize the terrible weight of responsibility I carry upon my shoulders.
We must be grateful to Providence, Nicky, that he fits the back for the burden. And yet you look so tired, my dearest.
Well, it'll be quiet at headquarters away from all this. Perhaps the rest will do me good.
It is ironic, Majesty, that it should be quieter at the front than it is here in the capital.
Alexander Dmitrievich, I understand your concern for my welfare, but if matters are as bad as you say, then there's nothing to be gained by standing here and discussing it. You have the authority to act. I suggest you do so quickly.
I will endeavor to do my best, Your Majesty.
And you'll keep me informed of developments.
Daily, Your Majesty.
Very well. That is all, Alexander Dmitrievich.
God go with you on your journey, Your Majesty. Good day, Your Majesty. Good day, man.
I don't want to leave you, Alex. I'm so lost without you. If anything should happen, shh. Look after the children. I won't say goodbye to them.
Goodbye, my dear sweet Nicky. You look splendid.
One day, perhaps. Thank you, Morgan. Now, would you read that over to me?
You are hereby commanded to dispatch 3 cavalry squadrons and 4 infantry regiments and as many machine gun detachments as can be spared from the northern sector under the command of General Ivanov and selected loyal and trustworthy officers to march at once upon Petrograd to restore order in the capital and proclaim a state of martial law.
Yes, good. You can dispatch it to General Alexeyev at the next station.
With respect, Your Majesty, would it not be wiser to wait until you've discussed the matter with the cabinet?
I have no wish, Colonel, to arrive in Petrograd only to be arrested by a wild horde of drunken anarchists. Besides, I have my family to think of. The train's slowing down. Are we stopping?
I will inquire, Your Majesty. General Rusky?
I must insist on an audience with the Emperor at once. The matter is of the utmost gravity.
General Rusky.
Your Imperial Majesty. I'm here, Your Majesty, at the request of the delegates of the Duma and the Cabinet of Ministers of the Provisional Government.
But I gave orders for the Duma to be dissolved 3 days ago.
And the express command of General Alexeyev to request, in view of the gravity of the political situation and the imminent danger of civil war, that Your Majesty abdicate the throne immediately. Representatives from the Provisional Government will take the earliest opportunity to present Your Majesty with the necessary documents.
I do not quite understand the position of a monarch who reigns but does not govern. I have sworn a duty before God to serve my country and accept responsibility for state affairs. If I agree to curtail or relegate that power, I may relinquish control over the country's affairs, but I cannot evade responsibility for them, even if I would wish it. Even if I would wish it. I cannot cede to your request.
Then, sir, the Duma will not request, but demand.
Excuse,
He did not want to be deposed and murdered like Nicholas of Russia and his family.